The winds of change are blowing strong at Old Trafford. Marcus Rashford has been stripped of his iconic number 10 shirt. Now handed to new signing Moshe's Cunha, a clear sign that the England star's chapter at United is all but over. But he's not alone. Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho, Antony, and Malaysia have all told the club they want out. As pre-season nears, United are bracing for one of the biggest clear-outs in recent history. Ruben Amorim's rebuild is picking up pace, but who will actually leave, and where will they land? Marcus Rashford has seen his number 10 shirt at Manchester United handed to Moshe's Cunha. Another sign there will be no return for the England striker at Old Trafford. Rashford is one of 5 players who have expressed their desire to leave the club. They will be allowed to report for duty later in July, rather than returning to Carrington next week for pre-season testing. The other 4 are Alejandro Garnacho, Jadon Sancho, Antony, and Tyrell Malaysia. All will be permitted to report for pre-season at a later date as they work on securing moves elsewhere. The club confirmed its medical and rehab facilities will remain available for these players should they choose to use them. Remote support will also continue as it has during the off-season. Sources insist that if the players are unable to find new clubs, they will still be welcomed back for the new season, though it will be up to head coach Ruben Amorim to decide their future. Rashford, who spent the second half of last season on loan at Aston Villa, loses his number 10 shirt as he continues pushing for a move abroad. Barcelona remains his preferred destination. That move seemed unlikely earlier in the summer as Barcelona prioritised Spain winger Nico Williams, but concerns over their ability to register Williams due to financial restrictions led the player to sign a new long-term deal with Athletic until 2035, confirming he will stay. That opens the door for Rashford, either on a permanent transfer or loan, especially with Liverpool making it clear that another Barcelona target, Luis Diaz, is not for sale. Sancho is aiming to join Juventus after Chelsea paid £5 million to avoid spending £25 million to sign him permanently following his loan. Garnacho, once a key part of Amorim's team, is seeking a move after falling out with the manager. Frustrated by being benched in the Europa League final loss to Spurs, Garnacho publicly criticised Amorim and hinted at a departure. That outburst convinced the United boss to put him on the market, and the club is actively looking to sell the £50 million rated Argentine this summer. Malaysia spent last season on loan at PSV Eindhoven, but the Dutch side opted not to make his move permanent for £8.3 million. After an injury-hit spell, he has no future at United. Antony impressed during a loan stint at Real Betis, who want to keep him permanently if they can agree on a reasonable fee. Another option is sending him back to Seville on a season-long loan with an obligation to buy next summer. United hope to recoup around £30 million for the Brazilian. Tensions at Old Trafford are rising rapidly. Just days before United begin their pre-season under Amorim, the futures of Sancho and Garnacho hang in the balance. Sancho is pushing for a move to Syria with Juventus circling, while Garnacho deepened his rift with Amorim by wearing a Rashford Villa shirt in a social media post. With Rashford, Garnacho, and Sancho all on the verge of exiting and little progress on incoming transfers, United fans are bracing for a summer of upheaval. Will Amorim survive the chaos, or is this just the beginning? United's players have one last weekend before pre-season begins on Monday, with Amorim reminding them they'll be expected to achieve personal bests in a series of physical tests. But Amorim is still waiting for updates on potential ins and outs. Interest in Victor Gyökeres has cooled, though the pursuit of Brian Mbeumo from Brentford continues. Meanwhile, Sancho and Garnacho remain likely departures, with Sancho available for a bargain fee and Garnacho valued at around £50 million. Sancho has already held talks with Juventus to end his miserable stint at Old Trafford. He joined United from Borussia Dortmund in 2021 for £73 million, but has scored just 9 goals. He spent last season on loan at Chelsea, but the Blues declined to make the deal permanent. Reports claim Juventus have made their interest clear. Former United captain Roy Keane said he would have taken Garnacho to the training ground over his recent display of petulance. Garnacho, out of favour, posted a picture wearing an Aston Villa shirt with Rashford's name and number. Rashford had spent the second half of last season on loan at Villa after falling out with Amorim. Garnacho's stunt was seen as a dig at the manager, having also been dropped for the Europa League final defeat to Spurs in Bilbao. He turned 21 recently and publicly criticised Amorim over the decision, revealing he was considering the club. That was the final straw for the manager, who gave the green light for Garnacho's sale. Romelu Lukaku has claimed he never wanted to join Manchester United, but was persuaded by his agent. The Belgian striker signed in 2017 in a £75 million deal following a prolific spell at Everton, where he scored 87 goals in 166 appearances. Lukaku started well at Old Trafford with 27 goals in his debut campaign, but things fell apart in his second season. He scored just 15 times before being sold to Inter Milan. Now, he admits he never really wanted to make the move. Marcus Rashford's dream of playing for Barcelona may still be alive. In a surprising twist, Nico Williams has rejected a move to Camp Nou, potentially opening the door for Rashford. Barcelona, now desperate for a new attacker, may reignite interest in the United star, who has already hinted at a switch to Spain. Barcelona had been prepared to activate Williams' €50 million release clause, but the winger instead signed a new 10-year deal with Athletic Club, raising his clause to €75 million. He said, "When decisions have to be made, the heart matters most. I'm where I want to be, with my people. This is my home." He also inherited Athletic's iconic number 10 shirt, previously worn by Muniain. "It looks great," he said. "I love it. It was Muniain's number. I asked him for it. I'm proud to get it and hope to make history as he did." Barcelona are now considering alternatives. Rashford remains one of them. United officials expect Rashford to leave on loan this summer, or he's falling out with Amorim. A Premier League move is unlikely. He's ruled out a switch to London and is unwilling to accept a pay cut. Recently, he hinted at interest in joining Barcelona. Asked about playing alongside Lamine Yamal, he said, "Yeah, sure, everyone wants to play with the best." Asked directly about a move to Barcelona, he replied with a smile, "We'll see." He added, "Spain is nice, not too far from home. If I train here long term, my family can visit. It's only a 3-hour flight. The weather is great." Rashford still has 3 years left on his contract, but as long as Amorim remains manager, his United future looks bleak. Manchester United are doing everything they can to sign Bryan Mbeumo, but closing the deal hasn't been easy. Brentford's technical director Lee Dykes revealed the wild story of how Mbeumo joined the Bees in 2019, including a private jet, 43 degrees Celsius heat, a failed first meeting, and a terrifying flight home through snow and lightning. Now, after United's £60 million bid was rejected, can they finally secure him? The Cameroon international remains a top target for Amorim as he looks to rebuild United's struggling attack. United have already signed Moses Cunha from Wolves and are still pushing for Mbeumo. Brentford signed him from French side Troyes in 2019, and it was no easy deal. Dykes, who had just arrived from League One side Bury, recalled the pressure. "I'd never spent big money, maybe £50,000 tops. Then suddenly, we were paying £5 million for Mbeumo." Dykes, co-director Rasmus Ankersen, and coach Thomas Frank made a rush trip to France to meet Mbeumo, but initial talks fell apart. "We had intel that he wouldn't consider the championship, so we had to get in and out of France in one day, because Thomas had training. There were no flights close enough. Rasmus called me and said, "I spoke to Matthew Benham, the owner, and he'll fire up a jet." That's when the pressure kicked in. They flew over, landed in sweltering 43 degrees Celsius heat, and had a meeting with the player, his club, and agent, but the deal collapsed. Dykes recalled a nerve-wracking flight home. The pilot said the weather in London was chaotic: snow, thunder, lightning. I was bricking it, but we landed safely. A few days later, the deal was revived and Bumo signed. So Brentford fans should know I risked my life to sign Brian Bumo.